Okay, I want to talk to you real briefly about a topic that you need to know throughout the course that will help you with solving problems. We're going to cover this under the heading of unit conversion and dimensional analysis. They're really, both of them are dimensional analysis. So we're going to use dimensional analysis to convert units, and we're also going to use dimensional analysis to solve problems. Let me start by giving you an example. Most of you are probably at least a little familiar with this, particularly if you took chemistry. So let me just give you a nice English unit measurement. Let's say that our measurement is 6 feet. Now, I could ask you, how many inches is 6 feet? And most of you could probably answer that off the top of your head. If this were a question on an AP test and it said, how many inches is 6 feet, and you came over and you wrote 72 inches, that will get no credit. That's the correct answer, but you get no credit. In order to get credit on the AP test, you must show your work for all math-based problems. Even if it's something as simple as multiplying two numbers, you have to show your work. So, let me show you how I want you to do this using dimensional analysis, sometimes called unit analysis. So we would start with our number, 6 feet. Now, the question was, how many inches is 6 feet? So you know that you want to change feet into inches. To do that, we're going to multiply by what we call a conversion factor. Okay, a factor is anything you multiply by. And we get conversion factors by taking two things that are equal and making them into a fraction. You should all know that 12 inches is equal to 1 foot. So we have two things that are equal. We can make that a fraction so that the dimensions, the units, cancel. So here I'm going to make a fraction. The unit that I want to get rid of is feet, so I'm going to put that on the bottom. The unit I want to switch it to is inches. Since I know how many inches are on a foot, I'm going to put that on the top. And I know there are 12 inches in 1 foot. I can see that my units cancel, so I'm left with what I want, inches. 6 times 12 is 72 inches. This gets no credit. This gets full credit. Understand? Now, we can do that with more complicated unit conversion problems. Let's look at a unit conversion problem that has multiple steps. Let's say that I had asked you to convert from 2.5 hours to seconds. Some of you may know how many seconds are in an hour, in which case you can do this in one step. However, most of you probably don't. So we're still going to use our dimensional analysis method, but we're just going to do a couple of steps to go from one to the other. So the first thing I would think here is, okay, I want to go from hours to seconds. What can I switch hours to that gets me closer to seconds? And I would go, oh, minutes. So in my first step, I'm going to get rid of hours. I'm going to switch it to minutes. And I know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Again, following my units, if I multiply, I will have the minutes. But I want seconds, so I'm going to add an additional step. In this additional step, to get rid of minutes, I'm going to make it cancel by putting it on the opposite side of the fraction. And I'm going to switch that to seconds. And I know, of course, there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. Now, while I'm here, another thing to say about math problems on the AP Environmental Science test, you're not allowed to use a calculator. So you need to be able to do things in your head or be able to write them out to figure them out. I'm pretty good at that. It'll take you a while to get up to speed, but you should be able to do that. Okay? 2 times 60 is 120. Half of 60 is 30. 120 and 30 is 150. So that's 150. I'm just thinking to myself, and I have 150 times 60, 150 times 6, 15 times 6, that's 90, 900, 9,000. Now, you may have to write a little bit of that out and do some math, old school, like you're in elementary school. You may have to come over and say 60 times 2.5, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 6 is 30, and then I need to put a placeholder, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 6 is 12, 1500, I got one decimal, so that's 150. But now that 150 has to multiply 60, so I have 150 times 60. The 0 I'm going to skip. 6 times 0, well, I'll put a 0 placeholder. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 and 3 is 9. 9,000. 9,000 seconds. However you get it, you need to be able to do simple problems like that either in your head or on paper.